Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Soul Seekers podcast, where we believe that hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure as we share our mission of mentorship is conservation. To learn more about everything we do, check out our show on Carbon TV or go to soulseekersnation.com. Freedom on, everybody, and stay soulful. If you want to take your shooting experience to the next level, then check out Coltac gear for 100% made in America products. Coltac manufactures specialty gear designed for long-range shooting, hunting, and other tactical applications. From their support bags, suppressor covers, shooting mats, and a whole lot more, Coltac is creating tough, durable, and innovative gear for both civilian and professional markets. Go to coltac.com to see all that they have to offer. That's cole-tac.com. If you are looking to get a new rifle or build your own, look no further than Kelbley's. Kelbley's actions and rifles have a higher level of accuracy and hold 92 world records set on either one of their rifles or rifle actions. Whether you're looking for an ultralight mountain rifle or wanting to compete in precision rifle shooting, Kelbley's has you covered. Go to kelbley.com to find out more or give them a call as their customer service is the best. That's KELBLY.com. Kelbley's. If you're looking to take your hunting to another level, there's no better way to do it than by subscribing to onX Hunt. If you want to get better at hunting and go deeper into your scouting, onX is the #1 GPS app for that. Join the millions of hunters who trust onX Hunt to find more game, discover new access, and hunt smarter. If you want to know more about onX, go to onxmaps.com/hunt or download their app today for a free trial. If you are wanting to become more accurate and deadly with your shooting, one of the best things you can do is upgrade your trigger with a Timney. Timney triggers are 100% made in America and have been since their founding, providing a crisp, reliable, and repeatable trigger break every time. I'll be shooting Timney triggers in my guns this year, and I hope you'll join me in shooting the world's finest trigger. Go to timneytriggers.com to get yours today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Soul Seekers podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Mack, and today we are joined live by my shooting partner and hunting partner, Flatland Sam Singleton, here in the headquarters, the office of Soul Seekers Nation, down here in the great state of Texas, and we are going to be recapping my very first PRS match I've ever shot, Precision Rifle Series, and we just are fresh off of it. Happened yesterday. Sam, you shot really well. We're going to be talking about everything in regards to if you want to get into competitive shooting, what's the benefits, what's the drawbacks, pros, cons, why somebody might want to do it, what it takes, what you're going to experience, what you need. Like, we're going to do it all. So we're going to dive in. Brother, thanks for coming over.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I would have came over earlier, but I was scrubbing rifle barrels and kind of getting some brass ready to anneal, and
you're doing everything that I need to do.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I just, come home after the match, see the fam, do the stuff. Wife was going to a baby shower, and so I just had a little bit of morning time to do some stuff I needed to do.
Man, I love it. I come home, and it's full go.
Yeah,
it's baton gets handed to me, and it's like, okay, here you go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I got to do my stuff as well,
Mm-hmm.
kids and wife, and make sure they get their loving. And
yeah,
but this morning, got up early and just started working through some stuff I needed to do.
There you go. I love it, guys. If you ever want to learn how to model your life, contact Sam Singleton. He is an epitome of health and correctness. He makes me want to be a better person. That's why I like being around him. So we're going to dive into PRS shooting and get talking about this. So first off, yesterday was my very first time shooting in a PRS match. There is a certain level of intimidation that comes with signing up for your very first match, especially when you don't have exactly what you need to then perform at a high level in that specific area. Now, I'm a hunter. All my rifles are hunting rifles. And if I would have signed up for an NRL hunter match, I would have been golden for the gear needed for that. PRS is a whole nother realm, which I learned yesterday. And, you see these guns and these heavy barrels and muzzle brakes, which, by the way, I hate shooting muzzle brakes or hate being around them. And that already is an intimidation factor that I have to work through mentally in order to go down that road. But, you know, here I am. And let me just take everybody through my setup that I shot yesterday. So first off, I was running a Kelbley's Atlas Tactical Action with a sporter barrel, light sporter barrel. Is a
Sendero, isn't it?
Yeah, more or less. I don't think.
Sendero.
Yeah, very thin barrel, a sporter barrel to be lightweight, and that is specifically their Coda factory rifle that I ended up taking out of the stock that it came in and put in a Grayboe Phoenix stock. I dropped in a Timney hit trigger, which, by the way, my trigger yesterday, loved it. Really loved it. That was probably one of the highlights. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll chat.
Coming up. The Timney hit trigger, phenomenal. Topped with the Leupold Mark 5 to 25 by 56. And because it is my hunting rifle, I didn't want to set it up for PRS and have it be a PRS gun when I know it's not meant for PRS. So I ran with a Huxworks Flow 762 Ti suppressor on the end rather than a muzzle brake. And then I was shooting a 147 grain ELD match Hornady in 6.5 Creedmoor. And so that was my setup. Brought my Coltac shooting bag, and I have a Harris bipod 6x9 swivel that I run off the front. And here I was. I was good to go. I brought all the ammo that I needed. Had my Leupold spotting scope, my tripod, and I was present for the action. So, first off, Sam, before I share a lot of my experiences, now how many matches have you done?
5.
You've done 5.
Yeah, my first 3 matches were with a 12-pound, 16-inch 308.
Yeah, so not exactly
the worst combination that you could possibly shoot at a PRS event.
How'd you do?
I came in with an open mind because I didn't know anybody. I knew the owner of the mat or the owner of the range, and a couple people knew who they were, but knew nobody. Knew roughly what I needed to do to get through a stage, but didn't know how to do it. So yeah, I mean, the first 3 matches I shot with that rifle, it was tough,
Yeah.
But I felt like I learned, each time, and learned what I needed to work on and stuff. So yeah, that was, and then I said I've shot 5. The last 2 were with a also 308. That's just kind of what I've stuck with and committed to this year, just to learn the fundamentals and stuff. So once I rebarreled that gun, and I've got a 28-inch, straight taper. Put the weight on it. It helps with the recoil. I wouldn't say it takes it away completely. That gun now weighs 21 pounds, which I would like to get it a little heavier. Just because that 308, the recoil on it's just the management you have to have with that is far beyond what you would expect at a PRS match.
Yeah. How much do you think my gun weighed yesterday? 10 pounds?
No. I imagine it's probably
12 pounds.
Well, you got to think that scope's pretty heavy.
That scope is heavy.
So
yes.
I would imagine it's around the 14 pound.
You think so?
I imagine so. We'll have to weigh it and see.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I would say 12 to 14 pounds, probably.
Yeah, I probably should have done that before this podcast. But either way, so that's interesting that you're saying you went out and shot. How did you shoot for your very first match with a gun that was not built for PRS?
I think I was around 20 impacts probably. And going into it, I had expectations of just not getting last. I didn't want to get last place, and I achieved that. Not by much, but I didn't want to get last. And in my second match, I wanted to improve, and I did. My third match, I wanted to improve, and I did. But it was tough.
Yeah, so yesterday's match was 8 stages. Only one stage, I believe, shot 11 rounds. Maybe no, one stage shot 12, one stage shot 11.
Correct.
So
it was 83 rounds.
83 rounds.
Yeah.
So I shot 83 rounds yesterday. Technically, I shot 82 because that last stage, when they were talking to me and switching out positions, I actually forgot to
engage a target.
engage a target and shoot, which this is why people don't talk to you when you're in the middle of a competition.
Well,
but
yeah, I mean, and also because the rules dictate that, you're not allowed to get help on the clock in a pro match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a different situation.
Yep. And I don't regret it, but that was so. Regardless, out of all my shots, we're under a clock of was yesterday a minute 30 or 2 minutes?
It was a 2-minute timer yesterday.
Okay, so yesterday was a 2-minute timer. You have to get through multiple positions, multiple stages, and roughly a minimum of 10 shots per stage.
Right.
And I timed out on every single stage, which totally fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I will say that I would have done a lot better if that first stage I wouldn't have dialed my scope completely off. What I learned real quick about PRS is, number one, everything's dope. Number two, everything's position, building a position, which I've never focused on building a position. Before, it's just like get in front of you, get set up, rather than thinking about strategically how you're setting up. And so why this is more of a hunting podcast, we're going to talk about how that applies to hunting scenarios. I think that's why NRL Hunter might be a little bit more achievable for what I want to focus on. However, setting up and building a shooting position is very important, especially if you have time and you're shooting across canyons or up steep slopes or down hills or whatever, using a tripod or shooting off of backpack or whatever. Building your position is, don't just build your position because you can right there. Think of all the different variables that go into building a position, and then make sure you know your gear. My goal this year was to become a better shooter. I'm already a better shooter. And yesterday's match, no matter how poorly I did, proved that I'm a lot better shooter than I even realized. That sixth stage after lunch, the trailer trash stage,
yeah,
that third target was 5 inches.
Mm-hmm.
You've shot this, so you're used to these concepts. But for me, a 5-inch plate, that was a 550-yard target.
It was 500.
500?
Yeah.
That's a kill zone. Smaller than a kill zone, depending on what animal you're looking at. But if it's a mule deer, that's a kill zone.
Yeah.
And first shot, I hit it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes. With the pressure of the time and all that, I'm like, that's a great shot.
Yeah, that was a pretty, that was a good stage, like, for a new person, really, because it was a KYL at 500, and you're shooting modified prone off of a trailer.
What is KYL for the people who are listening?
Know your limits. So the first target, it was 5 targets. Started out at 10 inches and then went down from there. And I think the smallest was maybe a 4-inch target or something like that. Around a 4-inch target, 3-inch target.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean that's a good one. It's a fairly easy shooting position. Being off the trailer, you've got a little bit of movement on the trailer. It was pretty solid because it was a pretty heavy trailer. But yesterday's match, after the match, talking with Jake, he was saying he was focusing this match more on precision. So it was overall the target size was smaller than a common match. I would say definitely smaller than an NRL hunter match. They're normally shooting animal targets that are fairly large in size. But yeah, it was more precision minded, and that was a great match. I enjoyed that match. It was really fun. Other than the mistakes I made, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, that was a good stage.
Mm-hmm.
You did well on it too. I mean, it just goes to show, your rifle will do exactly what you tell it to.
Yeah.
You just have to be doing what you need to do behind the gun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the number one thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about doing what you need to do behind the gun. First off, stage 1 for me, opening stage, there was some nerves that I had going into it because I don't want to look like an idiot.
Yep. So that was the PRS skills stage option 2. And so what it was it was a there was a probably about a minute and a half target at 400, and then a slight pan to the right, same size target at 500.
Mm. Well, I tell you, I did not. You've recommended me getting a mill scope before this.
Yeah, it's.
I bought a mill scope, taking your advice, but every other rifle scope that I have is MOA. So it's like learning a new language.
Sure.
And even though when I'm slow and dialed at the zero board, or when we have shot at distance, when I'm not under pressure of a clock or thinking about all the other things that I have to think about, I could dial properly.
Sure.
I straight dialed the wrong dope.
Yeah.
For the first round, and I missed every single shot.
Yep. Yeah, that was, if you're used to 1 minute is 4 clicks, now you're dealing in tens, which I think, in my opinion, I think that mills is easier because everything's a 10. 10, 10, 10, 10. And a mill's a mill. It never changes. But yeah, you didn't know, wasn't aware of it. And it's another thing with shooting your first match is you're responsible for your dope.
Yeah.
And so that was one thing when I shot my first match that was very intimidating. Was sure I could bounce ideas off of people and ask them what what should I, but you have to make sure that you get your right dope for yourself.
Yeah.
And then especially like you've never really dealt with a mill scope really on your own 100%.
Right.
So it was like, what was it? Something 2.9, and you put 3 clicks in, and really you needed like 3 mils, something similar to that. I can't remember.
Man, I have it written down, not in front of me, but there is something. Oh,
every shot was dropping low.
Actually,
I mean, you were at the low of the berm.
Let me see. Here's my shooting card. So it was 1.6 and 2.3. So I ended up. So it was 1.6 mils, but because I saw 1.6, I only dialed 1.5 in regards to like 1.5 MOA.
Yeah.
So anyways, I just straight dialed wrong. And a lot of that I attribute to unfamiliarity with a different language scope. But then beyond that, I also had to worry about the rules and expectations of what a PRS match is on top of, protocol. And there was a lot for that very first stage.
Yeah.
And
it's a pretty, in the PRS world, that's a pretty generic stage. But for somebody that's never done it, the movements, all that, you're going between 2 different targets, and it's the first stage of the day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know how you said you had the first stage jitters?
Yeah.
The last few matches I've shot, I haven't had it, but I did on that stage.
Oh, you did?
Absolutely, I did.
Because I was with you?
I don't know. I mean, I can't attest it to anything, but it being the first and,
Anyways, that was probably one of the easiest stages of the day. And
it was.
I lost 10 points on it because I didn't dial.
Right.
And so they're like, oh, you're off by this. And I'm hearing what they're saying. And I'm forgetting to check my level on my gun. And I am having to worry about wind. But then am I holding the correct wind? Am I holding this, just everything. There's so much going on in my mind that I could not focus on 100% what I needed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So like every match I've shot, I pick one thing and I fix it. So like this match, I was like, all right, I'm going to have 100% perfect trigger pulls. I'm going to, when I close the bolt, I'm going to check my level. I'm going to put my finger on the trigger and I'm going to squeeze it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to watch that round go off. and I was making sure that I did that every time.
Mm-hmm.
Did I do it every time? No, because on stage 1, in my notes, I wrote down I had 2 bad trigger pulls while not 100% settled because I was trying to go too fast.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I finished the stage in 90 seconds when I had 120 seconds.
Yeah.
I should have taken more time.
Yeah, but what'd you shoot on that?
I got an 8 out of it, but I had 2 bad trigger pulls that resulted in me not getting a 10.
Huh. Interesting. I will say, for me, my trigger pull was the last of my concern.
Yeah.
And I know that is almost everything. But I had issues. My gun kept bouncing around.
Yeah.
Whether that is my position behind the gun or the fact that my gun's light or, how my position is built.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to be brutally honest with you, you weren't in a good position.
Mm-hmm.
Your MPA, your natural point of aim behind the gun, it wasn't correct, but it did get better throughout the day. I mean, obviously, because you started making good impacts, but it was, it's all new.
Yeah.
So you don't know what you don't know. You're just doing what you know.
Right.
And
yeah, rarely do people take shooting courses and be
Right.
taught how to shoot. You more or less just go pick up a gun
and figure it out.
and start shooting.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that was really hard for me when I first started shooting PRS because, everything was trash. I thought it was good enough,
Mm-hmm.
but it was terrible. My MPA was bad. I was blading my shoulders. I would shoot a round and, a guy would ask me, all right, where did your reticle go? And I'm like, way off the target. I didn't even see, after I pulled the trigger, I didn't even see the target.
Yeah.
Well, part of it was I had the scope zoomed in too much.
Mm-hmm.
I was running too high of a power for such a recoiling rifle. So it's just little things you learn like that along the way,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the second stage, I actually shot phenomenal. I walked away that if I was to hang my hat on a stage that I shot well, stage 2, after missing every single shot and not having the correct dope, and then shooting what was our second smallest targets of the day, I did really good.
Yeah, the second stage was
Prairie dogs.
The prairie dogs, yeah, and that was a pretty good stage. It's tough shooting off those tires because they actually have a lot of flex to them, but yeah, it's smaller targets, closer ranges. I think the closest one's like 300 something.
It was 323, 362, and 418, but you're shooting at prairie dogs that are laying like walking position and standing position.
Right. Yeah. And so I mean it's not a terribly hard stage, but it's not easy. Them are small targets, and at that point in the day, the wind wasn't too crazy quite yet, but it was starting to get a little switchy and do some weird things.
Mm-hmm. So I had success on that, and then at that point, I was like, oh, okay. Those targets were actually the ones that gave me a little bit of anxiety, especially the standing prairie dog.
Yeah.
Because if your dope is good vertically, like distance-wise, you're good. But wind coming into play, those targets are only, 3 inches wide?
Yeah, the standing one I think is about roughly 3 inches wide by maybe 9 or 10 tall. Maybe 12 inches tall. I'm not real sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you get a little bit of height. So they're fairly small targets, and but we always shoot the walking one first, so you get a little more wind budget.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a fun. I really enjoy that stage.
Yeah. It was good. So that was more or less how the day went. It was very interesting. What I learned real quick is all these people's guns, these chassis are built and everything's built really long and really heavy, and there's benefits to that. So one of the issues I came into is some stages you wanted a bipod, and then you would fold it up so that you could get your gun flat on a bag, and you were going back and forth in between. But my Graybow Phoenix stock with my Harris bipod off the front didn't give me enough gap to lay flat on a bag in between my mag well and my bipod. And so I had to then choose either am I going to lay flat with my bipod on, or am I just going to go without a bipod?
Yeah.
And so that was one thing I realized, like, okay, I am in an automobile race with the wrong vehicle. Like, I can't, it's like showing up to play a game of football without football cleats. You're going to be able to play, but when it comes time to making that cut or putting your foot in the ground and really kick it in gear, you're going to be slipping.
Yeah, I mean, so this is a game.
Yeah.
We're shooting a game. And just like NRL Hunter, it's a game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not hunting. So hunting, you've got a goal in mind. When you're shooting PRS, you have a goal in mind. When you're shooting NRL, you have a goal in mind. And it's not. You didn't have the right, but you can make it work. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not going to be ideal for that game. And that was one thing I learned real quick. When I first started shooting, I was like, man, this gun, I cannot be competitive with this. I can make impacts and I can learn a lot, but if I want to compete in this game, I have to have the right tool to play the game.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm not necessarily like out there trying to win, try to be somebody in the PRS, because it is full of incredible shooters, and I'll bounce ideas off of them guys all the time. But I want to learn as much as I can, and I want to be as good as I can, versus myself. So that's why I built my rifle out to be better at the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I took a walk yesterday with my wife and told her about the match, and I was telling her about how I don't have the right tool for the job, and she's like, "Oh, great, another gun." And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't know. Shooting PRS, and this is kind of the wrap up of the podcast being said in the middle, it is a lot of fun. You will learn a lot, and it's a lot of not fun if you don't have what you need. If you don't like not performing at your highest when everyone else is performing really well, that is a mental block in itself. And I walked away from the match yesterday being like, that was really cool. I could see myself wanting to do it, but if I don't want to do it wholeheartedly, probably should stop wasting my time. Because it is, and not that wasting my time on getting better at shooting, but I'm saying in playing the game of PRS, because at that point, you have to go all in, and 1 foot in, 1 foot out isn't going to work.
Right, for that game.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just like that with any game you play.
Yeah.
In the shooting sports, whether it be 2-gun, 1-gun, PRS, NRL, it's you're right.
Yeah.
It's all or nothing just about.
Yep. And a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And this is one thing, I know how much my setup costs. That scope,
not cheap.
Thousands of dollars. That suppressor,
not cheap.
That gun,
not
cheap. To the bipod, not cheap.
Right.
To the ammo, we shot over 80 boxes of ammo. Now, I shot factory ammo. So 20 rounds in a box is what, about $50? Let's say $40.
Yeah.
$40, 2, 4, 6, 8. That's $160 in ammo I shot yesterday.
And everybody else shot the same.
Yeah.
Now, most people shoot hand loads, but I know a lot of people that shoot factory in PRS as well.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like,
the cost.
The
investment is huge.
Mm-hmm. Everyone's carrying around tripods, spotting scopes, and then their own personal weather stations, and like there's.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's just, these guns. I could only imagine these guns that people are shooting are like $10,000.
Yeah, I mean, and that's probably on the low end.
Wow.
There's guys shooting tangent scopes that are $5,000 just the scope. Sometimes higher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's. I hate to say that it's a rich man sport, but you're going to be very invested to have a really, really good rig.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was something that I'm like, I don't know if I want to jump down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I can't speak for NRL Hunter. Never done that. I did ask Jake Graves, the owner of Gravestone, where we shot at yesterday, are you going to plan on doing any NRL Hunter matches? And he was like, yeah, probably not, which disappointed me because then I feel like I have a rig meant for that. Like, let's go into that and see how I do rather than me having to spend a bunch of money to get into a game that I'm not sure about yet.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't want to sound negative, but these are just my initial responses of after doing a match and experiencing it, and like,
Yeah. Well, NRL Hunter is a complete different game.
yeah,
You know, in PRS, you know your distances. You know basically where you have to shoot off of with your props, and you're given a guideline of the stage, how to shoot it, target array, order, all that. You know, NRL, typically you have larger targets.
mm-hmm.
Your ranges are relevant, I would say. You get more time on the clock in an NRL match.
You also don't know where the targets are at. You have to find the targets.
Correct, but they're from what like I said, I've never shot one myself, but you do have to find your targets. You have to range your targets. You have to get your dope. So it's like a completely different process of work through. Most targets you're shooting in NRL, from what I've seen, are prone or modified prone or off of a tripod or something like that. So you're not necessarily using props per se. Maybe some natural stuff. But yeah, it's a complete different game. Less round count from what I've seen, you know. But yeah, it's I'm not opposed to doing one. I would just have to build a gun for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, it's funny. Anyway, so this was a little bit of my take from shooting a PRS match. I enjoyed it. There wasn't as much camaraderie in it as what I like. And I'm a social creature by nature. That's why I prefer hunting with somebody else, or I like doing things with people and be like, dude, did you see that? You know, blah, blah, blah. You know, and so that I wish I would have experienced more. But everyone has to take care of their own stuff in their own self, and they're constantly thinking about what they have to do, and that's why it's not so much of a social
Right. Yeah, and yesterday
activity.
we had, you know, in our squad we had 3 new shooters.
You, Victor, myself.
I guess we had 2 new
Just
shooters.
2, yeah.
2 new shooters, so there was a lot of like help going on and stuff like that. But really, when you're in a squad when everybody's pretty dialed, it's a little more relaxed. You know what I mean? But yeah, most of the time the camaraderie is just, you know, next to none. It's great. Everybody talks the talk, you know, and walks the walk. But yeah, yesterday was a little bit more learning focused in the squad, I felt like. But all good people. They all are very helpful and it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
But I understand you're a talker.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to chat.
Yeah.
I didn't find anyone that didn't want to chat, but like no one was engaging.
Right.
No one was engaging, really.
Yeah, I mean, because you got to think everybody's on glass. We're all watching Mirage. You know, how many times did we see the wind switch? You know what I mean? Things like that. It flipped from a 6 o'clock to a 3 o'clock, or it switched from a 3 o'clock to a 9 o'clock. I mean, so everybody was really on the glass a lot, and there was a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Man.
It's fun.
What was your take on not your shooting, but experiencing that with somebody who's never done it before?
Oh, it's fun. You know, it was good to see people, you and Vic, learning and having some success, you know, and being able to make good corrections. You know, it took a little while to get your bearings, you know, but I got to see it click on you, you know, you're like, okay, this is working, you know, and it was good. So it was fun to get to watch, you learn and I'm a learner. I always like to learn. So it was fun to watch you learn something that you really didn't know what to expect or what to do. And
Mhm.
so, and you had some of the best shooters in the PRS world, Shane Ward and Jake, giving you good cues and helping you. So that was good.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
felt like, personally, I felt like I shot terrible yesterday.
Really.
I had some serious mistakes. On one stage, I got a 0 on it because I had the wrong stage loaded up in my Kestrel. I was for the next one, so I got a 0 on it.
Mhm.
Everything was dropping low. And then, my gun malfunctioned on the very last stage, getting me DQ'd for that stage. So I got, I was down 20 points off of dumb things
Mhm.
that should not happen and
And
won't happen again.
And in theory, let's just say what you could have been 15 points higher, 16.
Yeah,
I mean, ideally you want to clean the whole stage. But
yeah. So I like to get if I'm getting 6 impacts per stage, I'm feeling like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Mhm.
But yeah, the last stage was really upsetting for me because my gun, indeed, my sear engagement screw came loose, and so I closed the bolt and my gun went off. I was on target, when I closed the bolt, but I was not ready for the gun to go off.
Mhm.
And on that stage, I missed my first shot, and it was fairly close. And then I saw where it landed, so I corrected on the second one and the third one. Had good impacts, moved positions, re-engaged the first target, had good impact. Got on the second target, closed the bolt, and it goes off. So I felt like I could have got a 9 on that one
Mhm.
once I saw my win call, but got a 0. Indeed, no excuses. It was just something happened.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I always, I just, it's hard for me to make mistakes and silly things like that. But I'm learning to, I'm still new
Yeah.
to this and I want to get better. And
But you've dove in. You are doing this.
yeah, I'm doing it, and you were talking about rigs and all that. My gun is budget made, really.
Mhm.
But I've made it work. I'm not all in. Invested 100%, but I'm in the game, and this was just a local match, so I didn't sweat it too much. If it would have been a 2-day where I was big invested and traveling and all that, yeah, I would have been in a bad spot,
Mhm.
but lessons were learned, so we're moving forward.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I will shoot another one. I'll shoot another match for sure.
You should.
But I'm going to shoot it with a gun that is made for it. That would be. I felt limited. And this is me as a human being. I don't like to go into something already handicapped.
Yeah.
Like I want to I walked away from that yesterday being like, okay, I know where my shortcomings are,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know where my shortcomings are in all things because I was handicapped. Give me the same equipment and then I want to see how I measure up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I do. But I will say this: on my first match, I said the exact same thing. I was like, yeah, I can't compete because I don't have the right gun, and then it's just not right. And I had a guy tell me, he said, "You shoot my gun, and I shoot your gun, and I will still outshoot you."
Mm-hmm. Well, so this is what I'm saying. I'm not competing against other people.
Right.
I'm saying for what the competition required,
Yeah.
I felt like I was playing football without cleats.
Sure. And you're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
It's for that game. There's a certain equipment requirement.
I'm sure that better shooters. I don't claim to be a great shooter.
You're not bad.
I'm not bad.
I'm not saying you're bad.
Yeah.
But for this sport, there's a lot of stuff to learn,
Mm-hmm.
and for myself too.
Yeah.
And
it's interesting. Like, what's the youngest age that you would have your own child shoot a PRS match?
I don't know. That's hard to say. Probably 15, 16 years old, probably, I would say, just because, safety part of it and all that. But, yeah, that's they have a junior division. I know there's people under 18 shooting in the juniors, and I know one personally that's he might be at the finale this year.
Mm-hmm.
He's under 18 years old. Mo Gage, he can shoot.
Yeah.
That kid, he's sharp.
Yeah. What makes a good shooter a good shooter?
That's a good question. I would say the willingness to learn and accept your mistakes and faults and do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what you're shooting. I mean, if you're shooting at a flat range at a 100-yard target, you can get by with a little bit. But if you're shooting off of a back door of a Humvee, and it's a totally different skill set.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started shooting PRS, I felt like I was a good enough shot to go to the match. Felt good about it.
Mm-hmm.
I could get my dope. I could manage my gun. I could make impacts. But when that timer goes off, everything changes.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a different style of shooting. But what makes a good shooter? Somebody that can solve problems and make corrections and learn.
Mm-hmm. I've never... The concept of shooting and watching your bullet make an impact through your rifle scope, I think, is the number one thing that needs to be taught to shooters.
Yeah.
And it's not taught. And I don't know who teaches it, right? Like shooting schools do, but no one... How do you teach yourself to stay on your gun, watch impact, and watch bullet flight?
Yeah, it's not taught, and I'm guilty of it. Shooting a deer, what's the first thing you do? Come off the gun, look, where did the deer go?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
dude, we're about to release episode 1 of season 5 of Soul Seekers in Nebraska, and I pop off that gun so fast.
And what did I say? Run your bolt back on the gun.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's just because I've learned that,
Mm-hmm.
But it's common, It's important to be able to know where you missed. If you missed, if you hit the plate, where did you hit the plate? Where did you hit the animal? Did the animal go down?
Yeah.
Follow-up shots are important,
Mm-hmm.
especially if it's marginal.
Yeah. I tell you, one of the biggest habits that I have from hunting is you shoot, you rack another one.
Yeah.
You don't even think about it.
Right.
You shoot, you bam, rack.
You have to do it.
And that was one of the things that I was having issues with rules-wise yesterday in the PRS match, is because I'd shoot. And I got better at watching where my bullet was hitting.
You did.
But I'd also would want to rack my round. There's a couple times I had to stop myself, and then it's costing me time, and I'd have to drop my magazine and pull my bullet out, and
yeah,
Yeah,
there's safety procedures you have to follow and stuff like that for the PRS rule book,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's all learning, man.
It was funny. Anyway, so muzzle brakes help you stay on target. Suppressors help you not flinch. Do you flinch with a brake, or are you just now used to it?
No, I don't. I typically wear double ear pro because it helps with that. I didn't yesterday because I think I've trained it out of my brain, and I've recorded myself shooting a bunch, shooting groups and stuff to make sure I don't flinch. And a lot of that is trigger pull related as well, and not slapping the trigger and making good presses and following through and all that,
Mm-hmm.
But I prefer brake because I shoot 308 and I need all the recoil reduction I can get.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually some suppressors now that are brakes as well. There's a few guys shooting them yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of get the best of both worlds with that. But yeah, I in PRS I choose to shoot with a brake. But it's just one of them things.
Yeah. I was going to talk about my trigger and how that was one of my favorite things. I actually shot it, I thought, pretty well yesterday. Yeah. You were like, yeah,
I'll show you some videos
of what my trigger pull looked like.
Yeah.
Not
saying that it was terrible, but there's always improvement, you know. But one thing one of the guys told me when I was first shooting in PRS matches, because I just had a factory trigger in my gun, is a light trigger. He always say, "Man, I need a lighter trigger. I need a lighter trigger." Well, he said, "Well, yeah, you do, but a light trigger can hide a lot of mistakes. Is that bad? I don't know. If you're making impacts, it doesn't really matter. I've seen professional level shooters who will have a running start at their trigger and slap the fire out of it, and they're on the world stage. You know what I mean? They're some of the best shooters in the world. But you did well. You did well. For your first match, you should stand tall and be proud of it, but always be willing to learn more, you know. That's what I always say.
Oh,
know?
yeah.
Like, I still, like, I'm not done learning. I can't stop because I can get better, you know. I just got to figure out how to get better.
Yeah. Let me just say this. I didn't finish last.
Nope, you didn't.
There is at least 5 people below me.
Yep.
And that's with having wrong dope on one whole stage and wasting 10 shots.
Yep.
So, in theory, if I would have at least known what I was doing on my scope the first match, I could have finished substantially higher. Let's say four impacts more.
Yeah. I mean,
you know?
Yeah. I mean, but you know, it's as your first match, there's no reason to look at the placing and the scoring. I just what I would do is next match, make sure you improve.
Yeah. Yeah. I am naturally competitive, but I didn't want to take last. I didn't want to show up and be like, wow. And not that there's I think for myself, there's no ego when it comes to shooting. But when people are like, oh, dude, you have a podcast and you work with Coltac, which is a sponsor of PRS, or, you know, like these different things, they expect you to be really good.
Yeah.
And a part of my platform is built upon not actually knowing all of it, but
Absolutely.
just sharing my adventures and going through the process.
Absolutely.
And so that was one of the things. It's like, okay, I don't want to take last because I don't want to discredit any validity to what I'm doing.
Sure. Yeah, it's understandable.
You
don't want to get last. You don't want to get last.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be last.
Someone took last with 2 impacts all day long.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah, but I mean, who knows where they were in their shooting journey?
Maybe they left after the second stage.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite possible. Or something went, that gun went down or something. Who knows? But, it's just learning. It's just learning.
How interested are you in the 22 matches?
Man, I started shooting PRS because I wanted to become a better shooter so I could be a better hunter. And it was what was local to me and what was available. And I knew some of the best shooters were going to be there. So I figured if I want to become a better shot in hunting, this is where I go. So that's what I did. 22, is it interesting to me? I do think it's interesting. It's another rifle build. It's another set of testing to do. It's more time dedicated to the sport. It's more trigger pulls. I think it would be beneficial for me to do it, but honestly, I'm not hunting with a rimfire. And I got into this all for hunting and being more lethal. So in that regard, I'm not super interested into it. Because, I got this gun that I've built around PRS, but I can still go hunt with it.
Right.
And I can still put a deer down with it at 1,000 yards if I want to. With the 22,
yeah,
depends on who you're asking.
I will say this: walking away, I thought to myself, it would be a phenomenal thing for my kids to do.
I think you're right. Yeah,
and I would get into 22 competition specifically for them.
Yeah,
I'm not to shoot with them.
Sure, absolutely. It's a 22. They kind of PRS 22. Rimfire was kind of developed to get people into the sport. Now, there is some people that have gone down that path and just ran with it. That's all they shoot is rimfire. And Shane, Shane Ward that was in our squad yesterday, he's got a golden bullet. He won a finale. He was one of the best, the best rimfire shooters in the PRS. Now, this year he's been dabbling a little more in centerfire. But it's 2 different games, But yeah, it's just for me. I'm interested in it. I think it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to throw all my time dedication to it. I like center fire, and really I like shooting 308 because it sucks. and it's funny. Yesterday when after that last stage, and I had all the problems and was over there throwing a fit. I could hear Andy saying, Sam, he shoots that 308 good. If he just puts some time into it, he could be pretty good at it, and shoot the tactical class and all that. And I'm like, yeah, but a 6mm sounds a lot better.
Right. Well, I will say this, that you did a great job. I'm really glad I have you as a counterpart in our endeavors with hunting and shooting and all that. You push me to be better. Hopefully I inspire you in some form or manner to improve. And
you did well yesterday too, Johnny. Don't be down on yourself.
I appreciate that.
You did good. I got to see you overcome shortcomings and learn. And it was good to see, because you're going to be a better shooter because of it.
Yeah. I will say, when I took you to Idaho for the very first time, and I shot and missed on that bear that we were just watching for the longest time, and I whiffed on that bear, which my scope was not tracking properly.
Yeah, you had some problems.
But I should not have missed that shot.
No, you shouldn't have.
And so now I'm like, okay, I don't know why I missed that shot. But I can tell you I will not miss that shot moving forward.
Right. I won't let you.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Good hunting partner right there as well. But at the same time, like, after shooting 5-inch steel targets at 500 yards, I mean, that's small. And I even got an impact on the one smaller than that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, if I can hit this with my hunting rifle, more or less, like, I have no problem. I know that scope is heavy, but that is a hunting rig.
Yeah, it is.
Like, why do I not just take that to Idaho with us and go smash on something?
Absolutely.
Because if I can hit steel, 4-inch plate steel at 500 yards, why can I not shoot a black bear, a mule deer?
You could.
A pronghorn, an elk,
Yeah.
So that's how I was looking at it yesterday.
Absolutely.
Everyone's like, oh, that target, that's a couple mils. Or I'm like, yeah, but explain it to me in a kill zone size.
Well, I'll say this: a 2 mil target's huge. First off,
yeah,
that's huge. We were most of our targets were around 4/10, 3/10, 4/10, which is on the smaller side,
Yeah, but what is that?
Kill zones.
Kill zones.
That's the way I look at it.
Okay, 4/10 is a kill zone,
roughly. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so that makes sense. So that the language completely different.
Yeah, it's a different. Everything's measured in mils.
Yeah. What would you have done differently yesterday after on your match?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. I would. I have a full book full of notes that I've written down. Pay more attention to my dope. Get more. Watch the mirage a little more. I had one stage where I could not find the targets because of the way I was positioned. That was the prairie dog, the last position on the prairie dogs. I got a 6 on that one. I should have had an 8 after I got my wind and all that, but I timed out because I could not find the targets. And I haven't in my first couple matches I had trouble with that, but then I got better at it. And so that wasn't a thing that I was focused on this time, because I felt like I had enough knowledge to work through it and not have a problem. Had a huge problem with it. Dropped 2 shots because of that. Had the wrong dope on one whole stage. Got a 0. Can't recover from that. Just as it's just like, golly, what am I doing? At that point, I thought my scope was messed up, so I was fixing to go 0 board, and then I realized I got the wrong sector in. I had the next stage loaded in my Kestrel. Huge mistake. Can't let that happen.
Yeah.
So it was there, and then my gun going down. I should have checked some stuff that I didn't check. So just things like that. There's stuff that I took away from it. Never stop learning, and just be the best I can, and make good decisions.
Yeah. How many shooters do you think were in yesterday?
I think there was. Let's look. I got it pulled up right here because I've been looking at it. There was 41 shooters yesterday.
Okay. So I was
You were
6 from the bottom.
So there was 41 shooters total. You were 34th out of 41.
Okay. And that's with taking a complete 0 on the stage. Add 4 to that. Let's say add 4 impacts to that.
Sorry, I misspoke. So yesterday you were 35th out of 41.
Okay, yeah, so I have 6 from the bottom.
Yep.
That's about accurate. If I would have had 4 more impacts, how much higher would that have moved me up?
So you as yesterday as a total you had 20 impacts. The next position, so you were 35th. The guy that shot 34th, he had 26 impacts.
Okay. So that first stage, if I wouldn't have gone a complete 0, I would have been in the same position.
Right. Roughly.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's once you get to about like mid pack, you're separated by 1 shot.
Mm-hmm.
More or less, So it's the competition's there. I mean, it's tight race. It's
What was his impact percentage?
34%.
Okay. So I was at a 26%.
26%, yeah.
So he was getting a few more shots off per stage.
Right.
Before he timed out.
Correct.
And I was so slow thinking. I had a lot of issues yesterday with magazines falling out.
Yeah.
A lot of technical stuff that just slowed me down. So, okay. Interesting. And that happened. I had a mag fall out. I think that was on the Prairie Dog stage, and I felt like that was my best stage.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Lots to learn.
All right, brother. Dude, I really appreciate you you coming on, sharing your thoughts. Anything else you want to add before we wrap this bad boy up?
Yeah, I mean, I would say if anybody's interested in getting into a shooting sport like that, just go do it. Show up with your hunting rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Have an open mind, learn some stuff. Who knows, you may get addicted to it and follow it down the path and just go crazy with it. Or you might not like it, but I guarantee you, if you show up to a match, you're going to learn something.
Yeah.
If you have an open mind and you're willing to learn, you will learn something, and you will be a better shooter because of it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what I learned yesterday. I learned more or less what not to do.
Exactly.
I guess that's where I can say I walked away knowing don't do this.
Right.
Learning about building a position.
Yep.
Huge.
Yep.
And then why certain things are better for those position builds.
Right.
Which is something that no one ever coaches you on when you're with a Red Ryder BB gun in the backyard shooting pop cans.
Right. I think you learned a lot more than you did, but it'll
come to me.
It'll come back to you.
Yeah. I love it. All right, brother. Thank you. All you listeners, thanks for checking out this episode. If you liked it, let us know. Leave us a comment, rating, review. Go to soulseekersnation.com. Hit the contact us page. Send me an email. Love to connect with you, hear from you. We got season 5 of Soul Seekers dropping on Carbon TV starting in June, along with an epic giveaway. If you made it to the end of this podcast, here's the first teaser. Soul Seekers has partnered up with all of our partners and Carbon TV, and we're doing a giveaway. We're giving away a complete rifle. It's coming in different components, though, so it's not a factory rifle. This is a Kelbley's Atlas Light Action with a preferred carbon barrel, 22 Creedmoor, a barreled action, 22 Creedmoor. We got a Timney custom trigger. We have a Graybow Eagle Pro stock, a Huxworks Flow suppressor, and a Leupold VX3 HD. We have a gun that is going to be shooting lights out. We're going to be giving that away here in the beginning parts of the month of June. So be on the lookout for that. Follow along with us on all our different platforms. That giveaway is going to be on Instagram only. So if you're not following Soul Seekers on Instagram, you're going to want to do that because that is how you're going to find out about that giveaway. Everybody, thank you so much. Be blessed. Remember, If you want hunting to last for generations to come, then you got to be the change you want to see in the world. You got to promote it. And that goes with shooting sports as well, because you never know when shooting is going to lead to voting and hunting and defending the Second Amendment and politics and all that. You guys are awesome. Thanks for being a part of Soul Seekers Nation. God bless. Freedom on. As always, stay soulful. If you enjoyed today's podcast and want to support the show, you can always like, share, subscribe, and leave a rating, as it helps us share our mission of mentorship is conservation. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of Soul Seekers Nation as we transform lives through primal adventure.